to these kaiches elyonim, to these spheres that we're going to be learning about, Keser, Chachma, Bina, and so on. Hashem made all worlds in such a way that through our keeping of Torah and mitzvahs, our observing of Torah and mitzvahs, we're able to draw down these kaiches. Ki kula shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because as we discussed last week, the entire Torah is really Hashem's name. All of Torah, we spoke about that last week. Well, that's the Ramban and all the Mekubalim, that all of Torah is Hashem's name. Shu'etzam hasherish l'kol hametzias kula. And Hashem's names, the Shem Havaya, as we learned last week, the Shem Yudkei Vavkei, is at the source of all of this. That is the means by which all of creation took place and takes place now as well. Therefore, through the hisarus that takes place by our keeping the Torah and by keeping mitzvahs, learning Torah and keeping mitzvahs, down here in this world, niftach hamakar ha'elyon shala lamayla. That opens up the makar ha'elyon. That opens up that makar, that source of bracha, of that koach that corresponds to that mitzvah, to that letter of Torah, to that word of davening, and so on. It opens up. It's the key that opens up, or the password, like we discussed last week, that opens up that makar from above. Lios meir umizgala bepulas kol hamaysim. That it illuminates and is revealed here in this world. So the Lashon explains, and here lies the difference between a nice Jew, a regular, nice, fine Jew, that keeps all of Torah mitzvahs, observes all of Torah mitzvahs, davens, learns, keeps mitzvahs, certainly, without a question, is rewarded for every single second that he spent in this world with Torah mitzvahs. He's rewarded after he leaves this world. But still, there's a chiluk otzum. There's a huge difference between a Jew that's Mekayim Torah mitzvahs bistam, because that's what he was told to do and that's what he received and he believes. Shu Kavana klolis al kol mitzvah. And this person, a regular Jew, stam ayid, which is a fine thing. The Koska said that stam is the letters Sefer Torah, Tefillin, and Muzos, right? Stam ayid is also a chashuv thing. But this Jew, when he goes to sit in the sukkah, he has the following kavana. I want to keep the mitzvah of sukkah. I want to be able to give nachas to Hashem to keep the mitzvah of sukkah. That's it. Now, if it says some fancy things in the siddur, he might have been told by his father and grandfather to say what it says in the siddur. He doesn't particularly know what's going on over there. And to him, there's no difference between a sukkah and a shofar. It's just that on Rosh Hashanah you do this, and on sukkahs you do that. And maybe he read some nice things about why we sit in the sukkah or why we blow the shofar. But as far as the kavana, with the regular Jew, there's a general kavana that I want to mekayim the Ratzon of Hashem. Then he ties into that all the nice things that he learned about sukkahs, all the nice things he learned about the shofar. Maybe he thinks about them, which is good. But basically, kavana klolis achas al kulam shavar. Basically, it's one kavana. I have kavana to perform this mitzvah. You can't compare such a Jew, even though that's a wonderful person that we just described. Nevertheless, you cannot compare him with Misha Zochel Haskil Ladas Al Kol Mitzvah Befrat. You can't compare the first Jew to the second person who has learned and understands the unique nature, the shemus and the spheres of sukkah and of shofar. And not only that, but what's a tkiyah, and what's a shvarm, and what's a truah. The whole mitzvah befrat, as gilui arias baruch shemo, that what aspect of Hashem's light, what aspect of Hashem's life, what name of Hashem is being revealed through sitting in the sukkah. And through sitting in the sukkah on Yontiv, Chol Hamoed, Shabbos Chol Hamoed, morning afternoon, night. What exactly is happening? Asher aleh beprotius, mirashis ha'atzilus ha'tzaifa kula. That from the highest point of the beginning of Hashem is revealing His presence in this world, ad tzaifa kula, all the way to the lowest level of all creation. He said, nichnas v'oila b'heichel ha'kadosh pnima. This Jew, who is among those who are Yodei Shemecha, he is a person that is nichnas v'oila b'heichel ha'kadosh pnima. He is able to go up and to enter into the Hashem's holy chamber. B'cheder lifnim micheder. A room, and then a room inside the room, and another room inside that room. V'oilo meitiv es haneirus. And he goes there and he's able, through his words, again, it's the same mitzvah. He sits in the sukkah just like the nice, fine Jew that sits in the sukkah. This person who has learned what is the mitzvah of sukkah, what is the kavana of sukkah, and what are the shemos, and what are the spheres that are being activated with this mitzvah of sukkah, this person goes into a cheder lifnim micheder, and he's able to prepare these candles, these iris, and he is causing this tremendous light of Hashem to illuminate this world. The Kavana umachshavto, by way of his kavanas and by way of his machshavas, his thoughts. V'nasagam hagilui gufa meor yichudis baruch shemashavatzilus hakol rak ha'itehodem atzma. That this light that comes from the highest place of Atzilus, that's the closest that can be to Hashem Himself, that this light becomes available somehow. The shefa of that light becomes revealed in this world. We don't see it with our eyes how or what, though there are all kinds of consequences that can be experienced, things that are experienced, but that's revealed in this world through this person. Mamshich as gilui oira v'yichudu sheba Atzilus hasharich la'oisa mitzvah. Because this person, with his thoughts, with his machshavas and his kavanas of the shemus and of the spheres, he is actually taking that ladder, and that ladder is going down all the way to the lowest point of creation, and he's attaching the lowest point of creation to the highest point of Atzilus, to the highest level of creation, through those kavanas and those machshavas. Because the person, by having these kavanas and machshavas, and much further along the way, we're going to practice these. We're going to talk about these on our level, with different mitzvahs and different shemus and different yichudim that people like us can be Isaac in and remember and concentrate on. At different parts of davening, by Kiddush Friday night, Kiddush Shabbos morning. It's not going to happen in Kiddush Club if you're part of such a thing somewhere, but a Kiddush, a real Kiddush. What are the Kavanas? What are the Machshavas? What's Purim? What's by Megillah? All of these they're, again, on a basic level, Hashem wants all of us to learn this. The Ariya Kodesh said that this is higher than any Limud Torah. That being Miyachid Yechudim, to be Miyachid Yechudim, is a greater mitzvah and is a higher avodah than any learning of Torah. It's a higher level of avodah Hashem. But the person goes into the machshava lamala, he ascends above on the ladder, and through the password he enters into that chamber, and then he goes down the ladder from one rung to the next rung lower. And he's makavan the shame that applies to all of these levels. The shemus themselves, the names of Hashem, are these giluyim, these revelations. And this illuminates or ignites these auras above and draws these lights down below. Through this person, who has this tremendous chus of fulfilling the ultimate tachlis of creation, which is to be a ladder between heaven and earth. He is causing the all of the malachim to tumult. He's causing. Hashem gave the human being the ability to turn on this switch above. In other words, to pull down from Atzilus, from that place which is closest to Elokus, to Hashem, and to pull it into creation, and to illuminate all worlds with this light. Mamshich elamata. B'soif dvarv, at the end, the Lashon writes, Ki hu ha'adam asher oiser tzayin kainai. This person that we're describing now, who is among those who are called Yodei Shemecha. This person is oiser tzayin kainai. B'shebeshvila nivra ha'olam. The world was created for this person. The world was created for a person who does this. Again, the world is created for every person, but the ultimate tachlis of creation is that a human being should come to this madrega. And that's why when the Gemara says at the end, the Gemara says that at the end of time, all the tzaddikim are going to sit in the machal, amakulim tzaddikim. It means those who are yodei shemecha are going to sit in a circle and they're going to say, they're going to point to Kivyochel to Hashem and say, Zeh Hashem kivinu lo. Zeh Hashem yukevav kivinu lo. We were the ones that made this kav. We were the ones that in our lifetimes, we created a kav, a frequency, a kav. That's the word mikveh, lekavos, kivinu, tikva, a kav. We created this kav. Zeh Hashem kivinu lo. And now in this world, all of that avodah, all the thousands of years of history is going to be opened before our eyes. Nagila v'nismach of Yeshua. So that's going to be the rikud, the dance of Mashiach. Zeh Hashem kivinu lo. That's what we're makabah for. The Yeshua kivisi Hashem. That's what Yaakov said to the children before he left the world. And that's the tachlis of all of it, is Yeshua kivisi Hashem. Yud kevavke. Shirotz Nakadosh Baruch Hu mehadam, next to the last line. Shirotz Nakadosh Baruch Hu mehadam hu shehu yigrom yisaviv es kol ha'pu'ulais v'amaisim. Hashem wants that a human being, he wanted us to be able to bring about all of these sivuvim, and all of these pu'ulais. V'amaisim eshagam mimakar ha'makaris kulam, avvinyan kol ha'tzilus kulam. That was given to us, the ability, the koach to do this. Next page on the bottom. A person, a very nice, fine person who's not zeichet to all of this. Boysa call mitzvah bestam, and he does every mitzvah, but he does the mitzvahs bestam. Just, I want to make Hashem happy and sit in this, which is great, but that's still, you can't compare. But they're klolus levad. The person who keeps all of Yiddishkeit, but they're klolus levad in a general way, keeps everything. Ukanal, Harei, the lesson writes, Eino nichnas bepnimiyus klum. Eino nichnas bepnimiyus klum. He doesn't go into any of those inner rooms and chambers, klum, at all. And he's rewarded for every mitzvah, of course, but he doesn't go into those rooms, and it's a different olam haba. It's a different olam haba. It's a different olam hazan. It's a different olam haba. His intentions, his general intentions, are fine, but it's only reaching a place that's called chitzonius. This is what we spoke about the first year from the Balasur, about chitzonius and Pnimiyus. Therefore, therefore, this regular person, he's not able through his general kiyum mitzvahs to bring about the giluyim, the revelations of the Jews Yodei Shemecha, and therefore still a madrega. There remains a madrega of hestapanim of Hashem's face being hidden. Hashem's face is hidden. Now he ends the lashon over here, but if you have the Talei Chaim on page Samechei, he brings in the middle of the page. Then we'll finish with this and go back to the Sefer. in the middle of the page, you see where it says Moshe Weinberger. Go down 3 lines, and at the end of the line it says, that's where it continues. So I don't know why he didn't already bring the end up, because he began with davening. So Lashon's talking about davening, because it says Yikreinu v'nei, that we use Hashem's name and we call out. But he didn't. So over here he brings the Lashon. He says, "Befrat binyan tefillah," and especially when it comes to davening. Asher ikara hu, the ikar of davening. Page Samachay in Anabakar. Asher ikara, that the whole ikar of davening. You have the place with the sefer. Those who have the sefer, no. Yeah. Asher ikara, the ikar of davening, hu liftoch shari rachamim. The ikar of davening is to open up the gates of rachamim. La'afik rotzen b'chol mishalus levav b'nei adam, and to be able to bring down brachas that answer all the things that are needed in this world that people are asking for. Hine shamu hechrech hakavana Pnimiyus, u'misha zochel is a yoyset tzarech v'chiv mikavanas kol hamitzvos kula. Therefore, when it comes to davening, kavana by davening is more important than having kavana by any of the mitzvahs. Although all the mitzvahs are, especially mitzvahs deraisa, nevertheless, by davening, the whole inyan of davening is the whole inyan of davening is kavana, that you're standing b'fnei HaShechina. I was talking to the women about that last night. Is being b'fnei HaShechina, and being able to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to understand that when you're saying Baruch Atah Hashem, Mogen Avram, Baruch Atah Hashem, Mechayim Mesim, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hakel HaKodesh. What exactly is the Yud Kei Vav Kei, that name of Yud Kei Vav Kei? What are the vowels? What are the spheres? What koach, what or am I tapping into? What ladder? Where am I setting the ladder? When I say the Baruch Mogen Avram, when I say Hamachazish Nosol Sim, when I say Sim Shalom, what am I doing? So by all mitzvahs, the kavanas are crucial. But davening, the whole inyan of davening really is these kavanas. Not to say that God forbid a person who davens b'pshitas and Pnimiyus and doesn't know any of the shemus that he's a chalila, that davening is not worth it. God forbid, the davening is every word that a person says, even without knowing what the word means, is very chashuv. But the tachlis, the ikar tachlis of davening is the kavanas of the names. And to know which part of davening, which world we're in, right? We spoke about it once by Sefer Mitzvah. We're talking about davening, about the mitzvah of tefillah, and how the davening is divided between the ilamis. Atzilas, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah. How the different parts of davening correspond to different ilamis. What are those ilamis? What are those worlds? We live physically, we live in the world of Asiyah, Shabbat, but what's Atzilas? What's Bria? What's Yitzira? What does that mean? What are those worlds? And what does it mean that during Sukkot Zimra I'm here, during Kriya Shema I'm there, and in Shemona Esrei I'm not Tzilus? What does that mean? And what are the kavanas of a person that's in that world? And what are those kavanas accomplish? All of that is not to be found in anywhere else except in Pnimiyus HaTorah, in the Zohar Kodesh and Ariya Kodesh, in the Svarmis HaKadoshim. Ka'ayidei HaKavana Pnimiyus Shehem HaShemus HaKadoshim Kulam. That through a person having these kavanas, each person on his level of the shemus, Hashem Atzman HaKoach, the Kol HaPu'ulos Kulam. The names themselves, as I said, as we learned, the names themselves are these passwords, are these codes of all of the koiches. In other words, what's chesed and chesed shebechesed and gvura shebechesed, the shemus and the oisius of Hashem's name and the different shemus that correspond to those spheres and the combination and the alignment of the spheres and so on. In a kasha makavan is called shem b'shem amiyuchad loisa ha'inyan. When a person has the kavana of that name, or at least to picture it in his head, to begin to be able to daven, that when you say the words Baruch Atah Hashem, you could pause for 5 seconds, and you're able to see the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. If you look in some of the better Sidurim, you'll see that it has different akudas by the different brachas of Hashem's name. It says Baruch Hashem Mogen Avram is one way, and Rabbi Chaim Yisrael is a different way. And besides, you still in all the Svardish Sidurim, Yud Kei Vav Kei with Adnus, which is Kudshabricha and Malchus, and Shechina. In every single bracha, there's different spheres that we're talking about. We're talking to. We're speaking to Hashem, but through that mahalach of that sphere. And that's in the name of Hashem. And that's something that even regular people like us can do. To pause for 2-3 seconds and to even have that, to have the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, to look in the Siddur and to see it and to stop and to look at the Shem Havai Baruch Hu, and to see it and to know what do those vowels mean? What's happening by Magen Avraham? What am I trying to accomplish by those words? Which reaches the Makar Makaris Kulan. Hyposeach HaMakar. That in davening, that's the time of the day when we Poseach HaMakar, where we're opening up that Makar, those Makaris of Rachamim. We're opening up doors, gates of Rachamim. Umamshech al Atzmai, and drawing down upon oneself and others. As a Shefa v'Habracha, Kodesh HaKadosh. Shefa and Bracha from Kodesh HaKadosh, from the Beis HaMikdash Shalom, from the highest place. Umamshicha b'Kavana der kol hamadregas, and to draw down all the way to the bottom of the ladder to this world. Ayidei Hashem hamiyuchad l'chol madrega madrega. And then when we learn Shari Arim Hashem, there you'll see that all the different words in Tanakh, all the different words in Davening, they correspond to different spheres. All of the words correspond to different spheres, are gilui of different spheres, or a combination of spheres. So then you'll be able to know that when you're learning a pasuk, and you see, and it says you look at the pasuk, and it says va'era, and you look at that pasuk, va'era vav aleph reish aleph, and to be able to know, to be able to see and to understand that what is the gilui of that particular pasuk, or in the davening that you're saying, what is it? What are you being megala through that word? And you're able to. And the Sharia tells us which sphere is that? Was the word ve'era? What sphere is that? Well, you see Shin Daled Yud. What sphere is Shin Daled Yud? The word Moshe. What is that? Each word in davening, in learning, every single word. Till you draw upon yourself this rotzen, because this is the tachas of creation, and this bracha, and you're answered. And that's when Chazal say that why is it we're davening, we're not being answered. This is the key to opening up these makaris. V'nimtza ki hu bo b'shalom meis asher charash v'zora v'kotzar hu atzma. The blessings, the brachas that person draws down into his life, he himself was plowing and planting and cutting. He worked hard for that, through his kavanas. That was his avodah, to draw down these iris, not just for himself, but for all of Am Yisrael. He himself was the cause of drawing down this shefa, this bracha. Masha Enkein mispal v'stam. Masha Enkein, if a person davens v'stam, again, it's a chashuv thing to daven, but if a person davens v'stam, now v'stam is talking about even if he, when he says v'stam, he's not talking about you thinking about work, or something, you're thinking about something else. V'stam means you're thinking about what the words mean. That's minimal davening. Is Bistam is you're thinking about what the words mean, and that you're aware of the fact that you're standing in front of Kodesh Baruch Hu, that you're in the presence of the Shechina, but you're not. There's no chiluk to you between one part of davening and another part, this part of davening and that part of davening, besides the meaning of the words. But as far as the spheres are concerned and the shemas, it's all the same to you. Baruch Hashem Aretz B'Tshuva and Baruch Hashem Gal Yisrael. It's the same thing. Gal Yisrael. It's the same thing. So the words mean something else, but it's the same inyan. The person who davens stam, of course Hashem is Shomer Tfilas Kol Peh, that if a person is sincere, Hashem listens to Tfilas. But that takes place. It's Barachmei Shamayim Bilvad. It's just because of Hashem's love for Am Yisrael, and Rachmei Shamayim Bilvad, Shuba Matnas Chinam, which is a Matnas Chinam, which is a gift. Ashelo Kein Haya Kavanosa Ritzani Yisbarach Shemo, Achol Brias Eilamo, which Hashem is loving and He's kind and He gives us even though we're unworthy. But that wasn't Hashem's intention to have a welfare state. That wasn't Hashem's intention that it should be giving out. And such He wanted us to use our bechira and our das to have these kavanas and to be able to draw down these iras. Elisha Adam ba'atzmo yisabe v'lov kol toiv olam al yidei ma'asev u'puloisev v'dibur u'machshavto, that through our actions, through our mitzvahs, all the mitzvahs that we do, and the words that we say of learning and davening and so on, and the machshavas that we have, Hashem wanted that we should be the ones to be the ladders that draw these iras down. And you can't compare the bracha when it came through an avodah to a bracha that comes without avodah. It's a different bracha. Asher kosher b'hem l'mayla mekavein lamata, mekuven lamata, u'mo'er lamala. Mekavein lamata, the person has kavana down below here in this world. U'mo'er lamala. Mo'er lamala, like the moshe that's brought down this form, the Tanya, another form of a person where there's a long rope, Yaakov chevel nachalasa, kilu, there's a long rope that's connecting heaven to earth, and when you shake it a little bit on the bottom, then on top it's moving all over the place. Which we don't see that, but you have a long rope, and you go like this on the bottom, and it's everything is moving on top. Zer she'amru, mepnei ma yisrael mispalim ve'enim ne'enim. And that's the meaning of what Chazal say. Why is it the Jews are davening ve'enim ne'enim? They don't see, of course they're answered, but we don't see the full answer. We don't see it. Ve'enim ne'enim mepnei she'enim yoidim soid shem ha'mefurish. Chazal said because they don't study, they don't know the Shem. They don't know the name. They're not learning the name of Hashem. They're not studying the Shem of Hashem. So this is, and the Talei Chaim writes a little bit afterwards, Klal Shadavar, that's the Talei Chaim. Ha'ochus b'shma yizbarach b'chol omek haviyasa. When a Jew lives his life holding on to the names of Hashem, learning them, thinking about them, which again means learning the shemas, how they correspond to the spheres. Min nishmoso derech sichlo v'hasagaso. Ve'yoso Kodesh ve'elyon ve'dobuk ma'atzilo baruch hu. Hine tfiloso v'kavanoso ma'or mishorish shorish asherosh. His davening is a different davening. It's able to awaken the shorish asheroshim, the root of all existence is able to be awakened ad lamata mamish. It's a little way down here. Al kein bevadei tfiloso teskabel. Therefore, such tfilos, again, we don't always see how, but these tefillas are for sure accepted in the greatest way. The tifal, the next page, gedulos and noitzoris, accomplishing tremendous and great things. Mitzad hamshachosum imkar hakol baruch hu. And the oisa ha'ini nazokut lo b'tfiloso, all the way down to this world. The dov ezeh, I'm just reading at the end of Talei Chaim. The dov ezeh eno shimush shemus klavadach kabbalah maisis asur b'yameinu. We're not talking about using magic, mysticism, practical Kabbalah, which we're not Isaac in that, God forbid, at all, in practical Kabbalah. That's not what we're talking about, making golems, nothing like that. Ela tefillah utchila bari baruch hu. Davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and calling Him by His name. Who is Baruch Shema Hu? Who? HaPoil V'Oisa. It's not, God forbid, using all kinds of intermediaries, Chas v'Chalil. V'ika ha'pulahi, the Kavana Pnimiyus v'siyachadus levavas utchina udvekas v'usa deliba. The Kavana is to be able to learn what these names mean, to learn what each of the spheres are, and to fill our hearts with Kavana, to draw down these iris into our lives, into the world. Ve'ena side shimush shemush shuhaskar b'peh kivyachem ein shimush b'kocha otzu b'shemus. And they pull us out. We're not talking about mysterious things, pronouncing the name of Hashem like it was in the Beis Hamikdash, B'sadek Kavana Adam Eina Elam Espal V'Hashem Hu Eina V'Isaac Eina K'Imra Yikre'eni Ve'enehu. It's about davening in the highest possible way. It changes all of davening. It becomes the most exciting adventure in the world. All of davening becomes an exciting adventure as you make your way through the olamas, through the worlds of davening, and you begin to understand what the Torah and what davening is. How do the Chacham, how do they do that? How do they do this? How do they create such a world of tefillah? I mean, of course, based upon the words in Tanakh. How are they masada these tefillahs? And a way that a person learns chumash. When you see Shnayim Mikra Echad Targum, and when a person is learning and everything as a person is davening, and you see and you recognize it, this sentence means the following, and you have that intention, you have that kavana. It's a different davening, it's a different learning. And nachas kama when you're putting on film, when you're putting on tzitzis, when you're making a bracha, it's a different altogether. Hashem should give us our chaylik, should be among those. Next week we're going to continue. Everybody should bring das asfias. We'll continue on page Chav Chesed.